the first step in my journey to becoming a craniosacral therapist had nothing to do with craniosacral therapy. I was 21, traveling in India, and had gone to a cave outside of Bombay that was filled from floor to ceiling, and the ceiling was quite tall, with stone statues that had been carved of the deities that many Hindus and others in India worship. And I was standing in front of one of these rock beings who was much taller than I am. And the next thing I knew, I was on the ground in front of them, like face down on the ground. I have no memory of the thought or the action of going to the ground. And so when I sat up, I said inside myself, what was that? And that question, I believe, has led me here. Because whatever it was, and I don't necessarily have the answer, but whatever it was that took me to the ground that day also moves through my body. And several weeks after that experience, I had life-changing experiences of what I can only have figured out to call spirit in my body. It's sort of an awakening of something bigger also in me. And so I think that whatever took me to the ground was also that bigger force. And that awakening changed me physically, mentally, and emotionally. And when I came back from India, I had actually not necessarily intended to come back, but when I came back, I went back to college. I had taken a leave of absence, and I went back and didn't know what to study, just knew that I had to come back. I had been an environmental science major of sorts, a kind of environmental science sociology major, and as much as I like those fields, I was so different that I knew I had to study something different. So I sat down one day with the catalog, the class catalog, and flipped through it and tried to figure out what excites me, what would be fun. And I came up with a sculpture major. Now, my father thought I was nuts because I had no experience as an artist or a sculpture major or a sculptor. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to figure out a way to express what's different and something different in my body, so maybe I can sculpt it." And so I tried, and of course took drawing and painting classes and became an art major, essentially, with a focus in sculpture, and graduated with that degree and had an amazing journey along the way, but didn't feel at the end of it that I had done what I set out to do. I didn't feel like I had the talent to express what I was trying to express that had changed my body. So I kept on going, doing sculpture and doing other things, being involved in anti-bias education and various sort of workshop environments and different jobs here and there. And one day I was living, about 1995, was living in southern Colorado and went to a holistic health fair, and a woman was giving a lecture, and she said, "You don't need to know what happened to you in order to heal." And that really called me in. I literally walked up to her and said, "Where's your office and when's your next appointment?" Because I had some things going on in my body that I couldn't explain, that I was tired of trying to figure out, and didn't honestly at that point need to know what happened. I just wanted to feel different. And so that had been kind of there, along with my desire to express how I felt different in a positive way, ever since those experiences in India. This woman was a practitioner of biodynamic craniosacral therapy and somatic experiencing, which is a body-centered modality developed by Dr. Peter Levine that focuses on sensation as a way of accessing and resourcing and resolving trauma through the body, through the following of body sensations. You can renegotiate difficult experiences. And so I became a client of this person and very quickly a student because it began to change my life. And I wanted to learn more. And in one of the first classes, when I put my hands on someone with the things that I had learned, which wasn't very much at that point, But with the things that I had learned, when I put my hands on another body, I went, oh, this is it. This is what I've been trying to find ever since that day that I found myself on the ground in outside of Bombay, India, because something was, even though I had barely developed the perceptual skills, I had access to something bigger moving through the human body that I could feel through my hands and sense. And it was that I'd been trying to express. That had sent me to sculpture. And so there I arrived in southern Colorado in the mid-90s to study bodywork. And now it's over 20 years later, and I'm still doing it and still love it and still discovering more about that magnificent force that moves through us and animates our life and our body.